Hello guys, good morning and happy, I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, pretty sure it's Tuesday. Alright, so I spent some time polishing up and cleaning up some of the bigger shapes here, and I finally got to the point where, well, let's do some detailing. Let's use the booleans and do some really nice, sharp, crisp, hard surface details. Before I start, there were a few little tips and tricks that I wanted to mention, however. First of all, if you've been watching my previous streams, you'll notice that my interface has changed a bit. So I've mentioned it several times on my streams that I'm modifying the UI as I go for the sake of because Zbrush's functionality updates so often, and with the new features, with new tools, the workflow always changes ever so slightly. One thing I'll notice is that sometimes the UI freaks out and things go missing. That's why I have this restore custom UI button that kind of just resets it. But yeah, you'll see I have a bunch of new buttons on the bottom and some new buttons on the side because they added a new lazy snapping and features. I now have lazy mouse sliders on the left, activating it with the L button. Let's grab like a quick box here. So another thing that I am doing is a cool tip if you're sculpting something like a hard surface shape, and you can see I have a use tablet button off and on, and what it does, it's just a way for me to quickly disable pressure sensitivity. So if I have use tablet on and I want to create a quick sharp mask, you can see I'm starting to stroke and it's pressure sensitive, so I have to really press on my tablet in order to give me a nice crisp shape. A much easier way is just to press this button and draw my shape that I need. So that's something that I just like, I knew that thing exists, but I never really used it. I always went to brush and then under modify, not modifiers, under tablet pressure you go to size and then you do this thing. It's much faster to just use one button to get the same functionality. And same goes for like when using clay tubes, for example. Or actually, let's try something more fun. So if I grab a chisel and use tablet is on, and I want a nice sharp edge, depending on my pressure, I get this kind of a tapering. And depends on what you're working on. Like if you're doing some kind of a severely, organic pattern thingy, you can see the lady snap tries to connect to the last stroke, so I'm gonna disable it. So yeah, if you're doing some kind of this thing, yeah, that's great. You just add polish and bam, beautiful. But in case of hard surface design, I'd much rather go for something like this. Where there's no pressure sensitivity. Still haven't struggled with the new shifting. Feels a little bit unintuitive, but it's just a matter of getting used to it. So you click, you enable shift, you drag, you release shift. You click shift, you drag, you release shift. You click shift, release shift. There you go. A little bit polish and it's beautiful. Another thing that in my previous streams I've mentioned is I was using booleans to separate shapes on this kind of organic sci-fi sculpt that I've done, like a very loose one. So basically I would use a subtractive boolean to extract a part like this, and which is cool. And the reason I did it this way because I kind of wasn't really happy with the retopology tools, and the main reason I didn't like them back in the day is because I am a huge fan of allow click to solo, which is when you have multiple subtools. Let's just quickly. Okay, so let's say I'm working on multiple subtools and they're all overlapping and stuff. And no, okay. So delete over. There we go. So I'm working on something like this. I'm retopologizing, but in order to create geometry, you actually have to tap. And a lot of times, what happens is when you tap, and of course I can't replicate it right now, but what happens is that all my other subtools go solo. Like they disappear, and I only see one part of the mesh that I'm working on, and then I have this piece of geometry. And this was for a long time very confusing to me until Zmodeler came in, which was last version. And Zmodeler relies a lot on like single taps, which really kind of really can mess you up if you're using allow click to solo. Let me demonstrate. So let's say I want to add a hole here, so I'm gonna do split, and okay, that's good. Like you can see the solo didn't activate, but then if I'm pressing on the face, you can see I'm arbitrarily hiding all other subtools. And that was annoying me for a long time, so I just enabled allow click to solo. I have this button here right on the interface, and I turn it off and on all the time, depending on what kind of model I'm working on. And this kind of really just eliminates all my problems that I had with the retopology brush. And frankly, this retopology approach is still much faster than what I was doing in the beginning with booleans, especially for kind of organic curvy shapes. It allows you to like really easily control the flow of the topology. So I have been using the topology brush a lot more on certain parts, like this for example, or like all these little smaller parts where why can't I select it? Did I accidentally disable? So if we go to interface, there should be alt click to switch subtools. Probably under edit. Oh. Without a click on, it is capable to select any subtool on the canvas by alt clicking. Yeah, that should be working. Is it the brush I have on? Maybe it's the topology thing. Yeah, that's the topology brush limitation. Okay, so now alt clicking is working fine. So yeah, this was originally a strip of polygons, as you can see here, and then I booleaned it and dynameshed it, and polished it. And that's how you get this nice soft edges. And yeah. So let's get to business. I'm gonna pull my concept reference on the different screen. And let's start. So first thing first, I'm gonna append a little sphere. I said little. And set it to subtractive. Enable live boolean. And then with IMM insert primitives, we can start inserting stuff. So you can say I inserted the cube. Maybe what I'm gonna do is enable symmetry. And now with this I will activate dynamic and adjust some settings. Going to move, getting things in place, and I'm not gonna apply these booleans until the very end. Basically I want to preview the model with all the details. So that's cool. And this is a subtractive detail. I'm gonna be using a lot of these, and we're also gonna use some additive details. So Control and drag to duplicate this guy, and you can see we moved it over. Now you can see I scaled it, right? I can either go back to my original scale, but a lot of times you will kind of, after a while, your subtractive shape or additive shape becomes sheared or squished, and this, in order to go back to kind of the original form, you just press draw and then click on your original cube and insert a new one. Or you can, with move on, just kind of click to choose a different guy. Now when you have different kind of shapes, cylinder for example, as you can see with dynamic settings, with my current dynamic settings, it's kind of getting all wonky. So for that case I usually crease the edges. So if I go to crease and set the crease tolerance to like something below 90 degrees, and press crease, you can see my cylinder becomes nice and crisp. But it also increased my cube, which I don't necessarily want. So in order for me to quickly separate the cylinder from the cube, you can go on the split and do split and mask points. Or in my case, I created this quick little palette, so I can easily just press it and it's done. And you'll see that my cylinder disappeared, and I'm just in a solo mode right now, and all I need to do is just press down on the keyboard and it switches between my subtools. So let's crease it, it's beautiful. And now with this guy I can move it around and do whatever I want with it. Another thing is when you crease it like this, you can go ahead and do bevel and then crease by polygroups, and you can see the polygroups are creased now. So now if I enable dynamic, we'll have a really nice nice edge there. Right now my boolean only affects this kind of the outer shell. That's why it's a little bit hard to see. But if you look closely, the bevel is there. Actually, I can demonstrate it better by beveling it slightly less. Something like this. Crease polygroups, dynamic. That's probably not the best shape to show them. Either way, so let's see what we need here. I don't need the cylinder, but what I can do is I'll just grab a capsule and I'll draw it out here, and I'll delete hidden. With LSIM on, you can control the scale of individual parts. There's a little bit of a problem here. If I want the capsule to be longer, but then what I want to do first, I'm going to modify the proportion to adjust the thickness, and to do that I'm just holding Control and scaling it down. And now let's try the extender thing. So extender is a new modifier, and what it lets you do is stuff like this, which is awesome. So I'm gonna extend it. It's a little bit slow. Let's disable that boolean. It looks like it stops, prevents me from extending it further. Weird. Well, at this point, I can just do accept, mask the bottom, extend the top. Live boolean on. And hopefully we can get these nice sharp edges here. Now let's inflate it a bit. And something like this is fine. We can once again mask the top, extend the bottom. That's good. So here I have this interesting shape over here. My Photoshop freezes every time I drag my window on a different screen. So to create this kind of a subtraction, what I'm gonna do is probably a slice curve, and you can use booleans in conjunction with multiple different tools in Zbrush. So here I'm using Insert Brush. You can also just append the box and subtract it. There is also the new Chisel 3D brushes, and of course there's also the curve brushes. So here I have a piece of geometry that doesn't have any subdivisions, and let's see what we can do with it. I'll grab a slice curve, and what slice curve does is it creates a polygroup and cuts through the mesh. So what I want to do is basically create a nice little polygroup for this centerpiece. So let's see, slice it like this, and then slice it like more like this. And the thing is, you kind of have to cut through it if you want a good polygroup. And then we'll slice it like this. That's more or less what I want. Maybe this angle is a little bit, I want it more higher up. And what I can even do is look at it in the front view. Okay, this is good, and because I cut it from the front view, it didn't do the other side, but that's fine. We just do mirror and weld. Okay, so now we have this beautiful polygroup. What I'm gonna do is grab all these, because I don't want them to be different polygroups, and I'll merge them. So when I select this guy, what I want to do is create a curve around the border edge. So on their stroke, you can see there's a frame mesh, and then there's different kind of the parameters, but that it's going to use to frame it. And I also have them exposed here. So let's say we want a border, and shortcut for this, default shortcut is 7. So if we press 7, you can see we have a beautiful curve. So now I'll just go ahead and grab like an insert IMM. What was it? Actually, it's curve, right? So press C and grab. Oh, damn it! What's going on with me today? Curve tube snap, and gently tap on this. So when I tap on it, you can see we got this little curve with a specific thickness. And if you look closely, there's, because I have symmetry on, it actually added 2 curves. Oh, hey Kadadi Vision. Yeah, let me show you. 1 second. Before I go there though, so I have symmetry on, that's why there's a duplicate. If I just undo, disable symmetry, and then tap, now it's proper. Anyway, so I actually have a video on my YouTube channel covering the customization, but I can do a quick overview here. So if you go to Preferences, Config, Enable Customize, you can see it kind of extends the frame around your interface, and whenever it does it, you can add any kind of a brush or literally anything to these outer frames. So let's grab this brush panel, and let's say I want to add this mask lasso to the top. So I'm pressing Alt and Control and holding them, and then I'm dragging this element over here. Same can be done here. I can just move it around all over the place. And you can also grab like any interface element, like this little thing. Sure, let's put it here. But you have to hold Alt and Control. And then to get rid of this element, you just drag it onto the canvas and it disappears. And once you're done, just make sure that your interface looks the way you want it to, because sometimes you would have like all sorts of different like panels on the sides. And when you press Store Config, it will actually store the placement of all of these panels. So I usually get rid of them. And then you disable Customize, you press Save UI, and Save UI saves it to file. So later on, if you want to use it on a different machine, you can do that by loading it. And also make sure to press Store Config. This way, whenever ZBrush restarts, it will load your customized version. Alright, so back to this guy. So I framed this using the curve. I created this little curvature. So what I'm gonna do now is split unmask points. And I press down on my keyboard, and we have this curve. Now this guy has dynamic on. We can probably use it. I'm gonna, and whenever you split the mesh, it will always use kind of the parameters of your parent that you split it from. So if it was a subtractive guy, the part that you split, it would be subtractive as well. In my case, I had this guy as a separate, like a start mesh. So this one is a start mesh as well, and I don't want that. I want it to be subtracted. Bam! Look at this. So we have a nice, really clean panel line around the mouth area. The only problem is I don't want it to be so thick, but we can easily change that by just deflating it. And now I can even, you know, use move or all sorts of other stuff to adjust it further if I need to. And another cool thing that I like to do is if I go to Z Modeler and let's disable dynamic. If I grab a Crease Brush, it's loop complete. You can you can create like different effects for your panel line. So if you crease this entire edge, and then crease it on the other side, and then do like, let's say, divide and then polish by features. You can see it creates this sharp edge, right? And if you go back, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, here it is. Like now I created a nice sharp edge on the inner side, and before that it was just kind of smooth. So let me go uncrease all. You can see it's smooth. We can also like just use this crease tolerance slider to crease random edges. And yeah, gives it a little bit of an extra hard surfacey look. So let's zoom out and judge the thing as a whole. I think I want this panel a little bit thinner. Something around this. And let's go to my... where is my thing? So alt click is great for this. You just kind of like I want this subtractive cylinder, the diagonal one. So I'm just alt clicking on general area where it should be, and now we have it selected. Rotate. My rotation gizmo got messed up, so let's go to the mesh center. And what we can do, just in a side view, holding alt to kind of align it roughly to where it is. Alright, so actually we don't even need to do that, we can just deflate it this way. And then that's gonna be a tricky part. I need to slide it along the surface. So in this case, I would probably like, let's try the transpose. So the beauty of transpose is that it takes point A and it puts the action line from point A to point B. So if I take this cylinder and let's say I want to move it there, I drag this the transpose and bam, like the line is perfect. And a lot of people hate transpose because they don't quite understand how it works, but when you get like this aspect of it, I feel like, you know, nothing will ever replace the transpose, because you can really quickly set the direction, while with this, the kind of traditional 3D gizmo, you have to manually rotate it on different axes. Axi? Is that the word? So yeah, quickly drag and then move. And now when I'm moving it, am I not moving it? Oh, I'm in rotate mode. No wonder it's not moving. You can see it's more or less maintaining the placement, which is great. And when I click it, I can move it out. And with live booleans, the performance kind of gets a little bit slow. So if you have a less beefy machine, just disable the live booleans and move things around and then re-enable it. And of course I'm starting to like nudge it to perfection, which I did say I'm not gonna do, but what can I do? Alright, that boolean on, bam. Alright, so what's the next step on the list? Well, what else we can, another thing we can do is, let's go to this piece. Let's see what the topology is like. Nice and dense. They added the Chisel 3D brushes, and what these let you do. Oh no, these are just noses. I don't want a nose. Chisel rectangular. That's the one I'm talking about. So what this one does is like it's using a 3D mesh to displace like 3D mesh as an alpha, and it's pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to actually create any of the newer custom brushes, so maybe that's a good thing to try. So I'll probably fail, but whatever. Let's go and grab, let's say, under initialize, I'll grab. No, I need a cylinder. I need a cylinder for this, and then the initialize. Let's say I want like a kind of a triangular stamp, so that's good. Make it a polymesh 3D, and now that was too subdivided. I mean, it doesn't matter, but let's make it less subdivided. Okay, so with ZModeler, let's grab these faces, inset them, and set region on. So something like this. I'm actually work in a game studio. I'm a game designer. I started as a 3D artist, then I was a concept artist. Now I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything. And yeah, right now I happen to be a game designer. Alright, so I created this poly loop around, and I can just grab QMesh and do a poly loop, and this should technically work, and it does. So I got this nice little extruded piece. That's probably good enough. And before I go further with it, I actually kind of want to test it and see what it looks like. So what I can do is probably append a cube to this. Where's my cube? There's my cube. And we're gonna kind of place it like around here. So live boolean is on. I'm gonna set this guy to subtractive and disable polyframe. Oh, and this needs to be underneath it. And that's the result of our little triangular detail. And that's actually looking pretty sweet and nice and sci-fi. But let's see what else we can do. So we can, depending on the thickness, the amount of the detail can be changed, which is cool. Maybe what we can do is bevel some of the edges here. Yeah, like this is pretty much a very unedited, unabridged approach to editing. I've been doing tutorials for our Patreon that were edited, and voiced over it after the fact, but these take a lot of time, so we kind of shifted to the streaming method because it just takes less time and I can actually maintain the good pace of releasing the videos and kind of sharing my knowledge. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm sure that if you have a question, like somebody else on YouTube is gonna have the same question, and that's what I'm here for, to help and answer. So with ZModeler, let's grab bevel, and I want edge loop complete, and let's bevel this guy. And the beauty of this is that I can, see in real time how it affects my stuff. That's not what I want to bevel. So I'm gonna do just a little tiny bevel, and then second time I'm just gonna gently tap it, and it will maintain the same bevel amount. And that's pretty cool. Now, what about the sharp edges? Should we bevel them as well? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, not what I want. This actually I might be able to just do with dynamic. Oh, maybe not. Let's see, cube grid of 1 and adjust the coverage. And I love the cube grid and like the dynamic beveling because it lets you kind of preview without messing up with your topology. This is not bad, but I feel like, yeah, it's very similar to the original shape, and I'm really not adding much other than extra geometry that's just gonna slow down my performance, so whatever. Dynamic off, and kinda still wanna try the bevel here. Nope. Okay, so instead of doing the full bevel, let's try partial. There you go. Yeah, that's not bad. Rather weird and lopsided, but it doesn't matter. I only care about the frontal part. No, crap, it keeps. Man. So yeah, what I was gonna say is Zbrush is trying to maintain quads and triangles at all times. So, and it also tries to be very automatic. So a lot of times you want to do this simple thing, but because of your, oh holy shit, I did it. I guess it was the order. Okay, wait. I'm gonna continue my rant after I'm done with this. I promise. For all the rant lovers out there. Alright, so a lot of times something as simple as just beveling 3 edges can become a pain in the ass because the order matters. Alright, so now I have this nice little bevel. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Only problem is that I think it's probably just because of the thing is too far, so if I move it out, oh, that's what it did. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's do this. Let's grab this guy and let's size it down. And with the size, like all these modifiers that you see as a custom palette, they're all here in the deformers. So with this thing, I just wanna maybe affect. Actually, what I'm gonna do is just click on the center and then holding Shift and scale only scale it on one axis. There you go, perfect. So now it should look good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I spent like half an hour creating one tiny little detail, but the point is now we can reuse this guy elsewhere. And when I say reuse, I mean, let's grab, so I have this insert shapes brush that I created a long time ago, and I'm gonna try to add this piece of geometry that I just created, a little triangular thing, to that brush. And I don't remember how to do it, so let's try to figure it out. Probably gonna be under multi-mesh thing. From mesh, create mesh from brush. That sounds too simple. Let's try that. It gave me a box. Why did it give me a box? Alright, let's go back to my alpha off. Oh, maybe it wants me to like... Yeah. Okay, so... brush. Create. Alright, that's what I was looking for. So copy one mesh, copy all brush to meshes clipboard. Weird. I mean, let's do copy one mesh, and then I don't know if this is how it works, but brush, paste a pen. Oh, holy crap! So I just pasted, but I pasted the wrong thing. Well, okay, let's try this. Let's create insert mesh. The current brush is an insert mesh brush. Would you like to append? Yeah. Okay. Yay! I added it. I know I added this pipe buckle, but now if I go to my primitive and I select my PM3D cylinder, I can insert this guy. The problem is when I'm inserting it the wrong way. It's inserting the flat top onto the surface, and I want the opposite. So I'm gonna grab rotate, and I'm gonna rotate it. And can I delete mesh? Okay, so delete mesh deletes the mesh. Oops, I deleted the wrong thing. Oh well. Okay, so with this selected, I'm gonna create insert mesh, and I'm gonna append. Okay, and then it added my little cylinder, and now I have the brush I can use to detail my little robot guy. So if I go to where's my little robot guy? That's my little robot guy. Here. Insert. Actually, I wanted some symmetry. Oh, crap. Well, it doesn't matter. So wait. And now I will. Actually, wait. Why am I? Instead of inserting it right onto the surface of this mesh, I'm going back to my little original sphere that I appended, that I used to create this little subtraction. and just keep adding my subtractive stuff there. So I drew the thing. Oh, the problem of course is that I didn't crease the edges properly. And actually I don't really want to use creased edges for this brush, so I'm just gonna split and mask points. Oh. Split and mask points. And as I mentioned before, it keeps the settings of your parent mesh that you split from. So in this case I don't want it to be dynamic. And let's grab my move and move it in. And you can see we have a nice little detail. I think it's a little bit too much in terms of surface details, so I'm gonna pull it out a bit. And I can actually also play with the angle just to change how the surface is being affected. There we go. And you can also create like different variations of brushes. But yeah, this was awesome. Let's move on. So now I want something more additive. Let's just go back to my this guy, and I'm gonna insert. I think maybe let's try something like this. So this shape, split and mask points. It's gonna be additive, and let's enable dynamic and see what we can get. The idea is that this little, I have this little cylindrical part. It's kind of like a lock that holds this front part together. So I'm gonna start building up the surface here to maintain that illusion. And one thing that is pretty cool, once you have all these booleans in, you can merge them all together and actually go in and sculpt on top of this, and basically create like kind of like a better transition between sharp angles, or like using polish soften some of your edges. But yeah, so let's see. I want something cooler than this. Let's look at our topology. Topology doesn't really allow me for a lot of deformation here, so let's zero mesh it. Something pretty low. Actually, you know what? Instead of this, I'm gonna go with a cube. Something like this. Okay. Okay, this is much better. And you see I was able to very quickly change the thing by just sliding this little IMM selector, which is pretty awesome. So in order for me to shape it better, I can either add more booleans and start subtracting from it, or I can use a slice curve to add topology selectively, like this, and then use use a deformer like a lattice to shape it. But instead of using slice, I'm gonna do a grid divide, which uniformly divides everything. And now that I have a lot more topology, my orientation is still pretty correct. Let's just center it. Let's use a deformer. So deformers are awesome. We have different types of symmetry. we have different types of smoothness, and we actually have the points that we can move around. So I want it symmetrical on this axis. So I'm gonna drag this green thing all the way, and now if I move it, you can see it respects the other side. This is really great for localized little symmetrical modeling. So I want to integrate this into the mesh better. So lattice is a very nice, precise way to sculpt these hard surface-like forms. Ah, crap. Just don't press buttons accidentally. It can be a little bit hard to hit the right point, but that's why I'm orbiting around a lot. Okay, so with this piece in place, let's accept it. Looking pretty good. I want to adjust the placement slightly and scale. My axis is a little bit screwy, so what I'm gonna do is just if you find a face that is flat enough, alt click on it, or like a bird, and then it will grab the orientation from that vert, and now I can use scale to squish it. And of course, it's important to judge your the scale of your elements from distance. I was really zoomed in, so I made it pretty small, but now zooming out, I want it probably something like this. Pretty good. What else is on our list? Okay, so this thing. So in here I want to have kind of like a loops going through. And previously people have been using panel loops, and panel loops are pretty cool, but I really like this approach with curves and booleans. So let's see. I'm gonna grab a slice curve and I'll draw a shape like this. Nope, don't like it. Double click Alt to create a sharp edge. This is pretty good. And then a second one. So you get this nice little loop. The only problem is it's a little bit too close to my side collar geometry, so I'm gonna try again and try to do a better job this time. Alright, this is cool. Let's click and press 7 on the keyboard. That's the shortcut for framing. Great. And now I'm gonna press C in my brush selector and grab my curve tube snap. Probably a better idea to have like a actual shortcut for this, but that does the trick for me. And you can see with the curve tube snap, you can only have one curve at a time, which is fine. You can also use curve multi-snap. Curve, where is it? Curve multi-cube, there you go. But as you can see here, it looks like it's, oh, I did it from like the 4th try. It was kind of freaking out on me. And you can see it allows for multiple curves. Alternatively, with just a regular curve, you can click on a guy and then under stroke, do a snapshot. I believe there's a shortcut for it, so if you mouse over, let's see, shortcut is 5. So I press 5 and then click on the other one, and now I have two little curves. So awesome. The only problem is, as you notice, I have symmetry on, so there's probably like 4 curves here instead of 2. So, oh, and sorry guys, I've been kinda ignoring the chat for a bit. Oh man, can we do cuts like this for polygroups? And yeah, I tend to work with perspective off. As you can see, it's always off, and then just once in a while I go back to 3D camera view just to judge how my model looks. But in the design view, perspective is almost kind of always off. Alright, so symmetry disabled. Made my brush bigger. Click. 5. Click. So we have the 2 little tubes. I can delete my curves now. I have a custom palette for it here, or you can delete it here. Delete curve. So let's grab these guys and then do split hidden. Okay, and these ones are gonna be subtracted. And we also probably wanna polish it a bit. So 2 things: make it smaller and add some harder edges. So deflate to make it smaller, and let's do a crease. That's pretty cool. So yeah, nice and easy. And now I can also adjust its shape if I need to. Just very gently, so it doesn't, I don't detach it from the surface. Oh, and my symmetry was off, but that's fine. I can just do mirror and weld and then re-enable my symmetry. Okay, that's pretty cool. You can see we're slowly starting to get a little bit more details. So what else? Oh, I wanted to have some kind of a text on this headphone piece. So in R8 they added this great little thing that I haven't even tried yet. Ooh, 3D text and vector shapes. Let's type some stuff here. Okay, so these are all fonts. How do I even... New text, I guess? New text. Where's the text? Okay, there, no. I guess new text. Okay, enter your text. Pilot X6D, I don't know, X61, whatever. Some placeholder garbage. Maybe I should use some Japanese hieroglyphs, like Japanese type to be cool. Type some. Okay, but for time I'll just stick to this. So does it update? Okay, so the fonts update real time. That's cool. There's even a little slider here. How handy. Let's go for something nice and futuristic, like Futura, or what's the other one I'm using a lot these days? I'll jump into Photoshop and see what fonts I use. Bebas. I want Bebas. Okay, the search thing it is annoying as shit. It also disappears if you... Okay, there you go. I did it. Alright, so here's my nice sci-fi font. You can switch between different families. That's great. Let's stick to bold. And resolution can be bigger. Alright, and... Oh, bevel. Can I bevel? Why does... Oh, I guess I can. You just have to release it. I don't want any bevel. I'm on Cintiq, Kadadi. I've been working professionally for last I don't know, like 6 years. So since I'm spending 90% of my day in front of my desk doing this stuff, it makes sense to have a Cintiq. So let's place this guy. Beautiful. I probably want some thickness, just so it's easier to put it in. And you can see with live booleans on, there's a little bit of like a visual artifacts. It looks like the mesh has holes, but it actually doesn't. It's just a live boolean preview thing. I got freaked out first time I saw it. Man, everything is better with a little bit of type. Can I adjust the resolution at this point? Ah, crap. So adjusting resolution resets the scaling. So I guess... and there is no way to undo it. That's great. Thanks, Zbrush. Thanks. All right. Note to myself: not adjust the resolution. Okay. Do we have a good font? Yeah, we do have a good font. We have everything is good. I just need to. Redo all my work. Alright, excellent. I think. Maybe. Good enough. Got some disco jams going. Alright, so with this thing in place, I'm gonna disable local symmetry and do mirror and weld. And now, as you can see, we have awesome reverted text, which is not what I want. So what we can do, I guess, is delete that, split the other one. So it's a separate subtool. And then the guy that's reversed, let's try mirroring it. So I have this mirror that mirrors it on, let's see, where does it mirror on? Yeah, it mirrors it on global axis. Let's enable local symmetry, do mirror. No, it still mirrors it on global axis. What if but we don't want it on Z. Wait, we only want it to mirror on Z, so it's probably not going to be too much of a pain. Okay, so good. I just need to. Now I just need to adjust the placement, really. There you go. Being perfectionist is a terrible thing. Okay, great. We have a little bit of text going on. Yeah, insert mesh would be cool, but with insert mesh, I mean, you can't edit the text on the fly. And I guess at this point, I don't have, like, I only have one place where I want to insert type, so I'm just placing it by hand like a loser. What else can we do here? I'm trying to, like, I don't want to repeat the same kind of technique and just want to cover as many different ways to do things as possible. And we're already getting close to my time limit for today. But hey, here's a cool thing that here's a cool trick. So let's say you have a shape. Well, no, let's do this. Let's go to grab like a terrain or whatever that thing is called, the kind of the bumpy ground. What's it doing here? Am I blind? There it is. So let's say you have a surface that, oh, by the way, if you go to initialize, you can adjust how bumpy it is. So let's say you have like some kind of a sci-fi looking surface thingy, and let's make it polymesh 3D, and let's flatten it a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so you have something like this, and you have a complex form, and you want to add more kind of like geometry on top of it. So we have, let's say, a sphere, and then there is also like another panel that's kind of like this. Maybe it goes like this, and then you also want to have some other cool shit like this. Anyway, so you have like this complicated, complex. That's so ugly. Anyway, this is good enough. So you have a complex shape on top of complex form, and you want to integrate it nicer. And that's the problem that I was having when I was doing this headphones shape here. I have this kind of complicated shape on top of this surface made out of different parts, and the transition between it was too harsh, so I wanted to have a little bit of transition like this. So how do we do this? With booleans is actually pretty easy. So if I grab all these guys and I split them up, split hidden. Okay, so first thing first. Well, let's do this. Let's crease by 90 degrees, right? And then add dynamic, so they're all nice and smooth. And then apply the dynamic. Now we have multiple subdivision levels, whatever. And I'm gonna go in the R8. They added the subprojections refinement, which makes Dynamesh much more precise. So I like to crank it up pretty high and then adjust the resolution. And now let's see how good this is. No, I don't want to freeze anything. So not high enough. Okay, so that's probably fine. So I'm just gonna divide it one more time and then do polish. So we have this really cool complex shape. It's got nice transitions between. If you want to have sharper, crisp edges, you can only polish selectively or go in and sculpt crisper shit on the top. But yeah. So now if we and this, let's add dynamic to it. We enable booleans. We want to merge it in. So what I'm gonna do is I'll duplicate this guy, and with it duplicated, I'll get rid of my subdivisions and I'll inflate it. And this inflation is gonna control how thick I want this kind of the outline to be around this compound shape. So let's start very low, but we can adjust it later. And now what I'm gonna do, you can either grab a new primitive, or in my case I'll just grab this same piece of wall, I'll duplicate it, and I'll add thickness to it. So with Zmodeler and QMesh, I'll just add all polygons, some nice thickness to it. And I will set it to what's this called? Not subtractive, but intersection. Now I only wanted to affect this thick dude. So look at where we were getting. So I can go back to my original wall surface and kind of hard to see. Actually, instead of all polygons, I need to do polygroup. Where is it? Polygroup island. There you go. So, and instead of, like, as I click it, I start holding shift, and now I can adjust the thickness of this. So let's try it again without the. Wait a second. Why is it moving my other side? Either way, as you can see, you can interactively adjust the thickness. And then once we're happy with it, we have this really nice integration point. And I can also go here and I can use inflate to adjust how wide I want this thing to be, which is really cool, and also polish it up to get rid of some of these stretching artifacts. So now let's say I'm happy with this. Let's just hide everything else and make Boolean mesh. And then come back. Now hide my booleans and append that boolean mesh that I just created, which is, where is it? Is it this one? Oh yeah, because I had this guy selected. It tried to get boolean, but I don't need it. I just want this guy. So append and then get this guy. All right. And now I have this big down mesh. And if I start polishing it, you'll see that there's a lot of artifacts. So usually when I'm happy with the form and like I just want to kind of lose some of this edge crispness to make it a little bit more natural, just dynamesh it right away, divide it if need to, and then polish. And now we can see we have this kind of organic worn metallic thing around it, and you can keep polishing it until you're happy with it. And also, because you still have the polygroups, you can also polish by features. In this case it does this, which we don't necessarily like, so don't forget there's also group loops, and group loops is awesome. So group loops, and group loops smoothes the shit out of it, and now you can do polish by features to get back the crispness if you need to. And you can see we're getting a lot of the crispness back. And also there's clay polish as an additional polishing feature. So plenty of ways to control the shape of your surface. And yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys found this useful. I'll try to stream tomorrow again, if not day after tomorrow. Make sure to support us on Patreon, or follow on YouTube, or follow me on Twitter, wherever you like. And if you have any questions, feel free to email, tweet, message. I'm by my desk most of the times and willing to help you out. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys next time.